Hi guys, and welcome to my first checking video. Usually I do videos for the T238 MOSFET, but yeah, since I've done a few and I think most of the basics I've covered, I think it would be interesting to put out some more checking videos, some quick tips on how at least how I like to do some things, so to make it easier for you. Maybe something you did know, maybe something you did know. If you find it helpful, please leave a like and comment. I always appreciate that. And if you think like you have like a smarter idea or better idea, just let me know. Maybe we can learn from each other. So today I'm going to show you how you can make a featherweight trigger. So a very light trigger. You only have to pretty much tap it or just move it just a little bit, and also make it adjustable from outside of the gearbox, so you don't have to disassemble the entire gearbox just to adjust the trigger pull. So without further ado, I'm going to show you what you're going to need. So for this mod you need a few items. They're pretty easy to get. I usually get them at AliExpress or my local hardware store. I'll leave some comments or leave some links in the description. So you can always find them on AliExpress. I mean, that's worldwide, so everybody's covered. If you'd like to get them on Amazon or whatever is fastest at your local country, or maybe your local hardware store, then just do that. I mean, yeah, whatever works for you. At least the AliExpress links will be down in the comment section, or in the in the description, so you can always find the parts that I'm using. So what you're going to be needing is well, you need the M2 set screws. I usually use the M2 with 4.5 millimeter length. This is so it's small enough and not too long but not too short, so it can push the trigger up. Also, I'm using a 1.5 millimeter drill bit. This so I can make the hole and then thread the hole with these. So yeah, these come from a set from my local hardware store, but you can get them like I said on AliExpress, Amazon, whatever. These one come from AliExpress. They're relatively cheap, and I think they're like $5, something like that. But they work really well. So that's the tap and die set. You're going to need the M2, and yeah, I'll leave a comment or leave a link in the description. So basically what you're going to be doing with this mod is you're going to drill a small hole just down there. It's the small part of the gearbox that keeps the trigger from traveling too far back, and what holds the spring as well, this part. So you're going to drill a 1.5 millimeter hole just below there. Usually what you can do, or at least there's almost always a small line here, so you get a nice square. I usually get exactly the middle. That usually works for the set screw. So if you drill that hole, what basically happens is, if you drill that hole and put the set screw in, what the set screw does when you turn it, it moves the trigger up a little bit, so it moves it closer to the sensor or to the mechanical switch or the ECU, whatever. By the way, this isn't recommended for a standard setup, so with the standard trigger contacts, because if you do that, then the trolley can't reset properly, and so you have like semi-auto issues, so you only have full auto or something like that. So I wouldn't recommend, or at least it pretty much isn't possible with the stock setup, but with any ECU it's fine. So yeah, so the set screw pushes the trigger a bit further till it hits the switch. So what you basically do is, when the gearbox is closed up, you turn the set screw just as far until it fires, and then you stop. And what you do then is you turn it like 45 degrees back, so like, or half a turn, and then you check how the trigger trigger response is then, or the trigger pull. If it's still a bit too far for your liking, you can give it a small turn and check again and again until you feel it's fine. Or maybe if you think it's too much, and you can go a half turn back again and see how you like it then. So as you can see, I have a V1.7 T238 here in this one. This one still utilizes the mechanical safety. So what you will notice is when you do this, as you can see, this point, it doesn't move. So when you use the set screw, the trigger is going to be more forward, and if you want to use the safety, it doesn't engage. So what you do first is you make sure the trigger is set to the just in front of the switch, the mechanical or optical one, and then you open it up again and shorten the safety lever. So you just shorten it a little bit, send it down so that it will stop the trigger. That way you know for sure that when the safety is on, the safety is really on and you can't really pull the trigger still. So that's really important to do. So for this A&K SR25, I'm going to drill a small hole and then tap it. I'm not going to show you how I drill it exactly, but I'll show you how it looks after. So as you can see, I've drilled a small hole in the gearbox just below here, pretty much center. It's not really important it's exactly center, but you get the idea. By the way, I've installed the MOSFET, so the wires are here. So if you're doing this, be sure to remove the MOSFET, or at least be sure that you don't touch the wires. I mean, that's yeah, would be smart if you don't touch that one. So next up is this is my drill, and as you can see, this has the tapping bit on it. So you're going to be using the slow speed. The speed that you're going to be using is something like this speed, just really slow, and then just gently push it through the hole. That's what she said. And gently push it through the hole so that it's properly tapped. As you can see, it's threaded now. So that means we can install the set screw. So there we go. With the power of editing, it was done in merely a second. As you can see, this is the set screw. If I turn it, you can see it protruding inside of the gearbox. So now when you put the trigger back on its place and you turn, you see it's pushing the trigger more upwards. So, and that means, like so, as you can see, you have a shorter trigger pull. So that's basically what happens. I do recommend using some blue Loctite on these ones, just so they don't come loose due to vibration of the gearbox. So if you have that, I recommend it. You don't have to necessarily get Loctite, the brand itself, because I know it can be expensive. I personally think it's worth it, but you can use some other lock bond or whatever you'd like. At least this is pretty much the mod, so I'm going to show you now what you're going to be doing next. So as you can see, I closed up the gearbox. You can do it like this. I've left some parts out because I need to do some other modifications to it, but you get the idea. So what you're going to be doing now is you're going to install the motor. So install the grip and the motor, and install the MOSFET or the battery. Like as you can see, like some of the compression internals are missing, but this is just like a demonstration what you should do. So install everything so the gearbox is complete and works. And what you're going to be doing next is this set screw. You're going to be turning it slowly until it fires, and when it fires you stop, and then you go back like half a turn or quarter of a turn, and then check to see how much it takes till it fires. If it's still too much for you, you can adjust it just a tiny bit again. If it's too much, then you can go, it's really hard to do on camera, sorry about that. You can go about for like a quarter turn back and see what's, to see what your preference is. I don't know if you can see the trigger moving. Moves just a tiny bit if you turn it like so. And the beauty of it is, I'm going to put this in the receiver so you can see, because as you can see, that's the position of the set screw. Depending on your gun, it could be a little bit lower or a little bit more to the back, but it's pretty much always around this spot. So I can just barely get it with my screwdriver. So I usually use an Allen key for this one. I really recommend you using it because it's easier and you don't damage the set screw, because they're pretty fragile because they're so small. The reason that I prefer it this way is because if I'm building guns for somebody else, for instance, they like to have a trigger that you can just tap just so it fires, and maybe after a few games they don't like it, they maybe want a more realistic-ish trigger pull. It's airsoft, so it isn't realistic, but you get what I mean. Then they can just adjust it themselves, so they don't have to send back their gun to me, and sometimes it's international and stuff, and like for Belgium you have specific laws for shipping, so it's a pain. So this way they can just do it themselves. So usually I provide them with the Allen key if they'd like, depending on the customer, so they can adjust it at pretty much at the field that they are, and in a few seconds they're golden. So guys, I hope this helps. One thing I really want to cover still, because I've mentioned it before in this video, but what you do after is you open up the gearbox again, and then you adjust the safety. So the safety latch is going to, because if your trigger was here, the safety can stop the trigger, but if it's further, then this the position of the position of the trigger is further, so the safety can't reach. That means so you have to shave down the safety. Just do it bit by bit and see how much you're going to need to take off. I'll open the gearbox for you and I'll show you in a bit. So we'll open up the gearbox and I'm going to zoom in to show you. As you can see, the set screw is protruding just a little bit inside of the gearbox, so it sets the trigger a tiny hair more forward. And in this case, like if you hold it down like so, it can barely, or no, it pretty much can't, depending how you hold the trigger. Well, it can't really engage the safety. So what you need to do is shave down the top just a little bit. As you can see, you probably need to shave off half, but just take it easy, do it in small baby steps, try it. And what I also recommend is when you think you've got it, or think you're close, install the top shell, because there we go. Like as you can see, if I have it more to the back this way, it will fit fine, but if I use if I put some pressure on top, that it's more straight, as you can see, it doesn't fit. So, and now when I move it again a bit, you see there's a lot of play. So when you think you're good, install the top of the shell as well, so you can see if you're really golden and not still have some way, or just a millimeter or something to shave off. Just some, a minor thing, but definitely something to keep in mind if you don't want to open and close the gearbox over and over again. So that's pretty much it. I hope this video helped you out. It was my first checking tip video. So if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. And if you maybe have other ideas, or maybe some things you'd like to know that I can go over in the next video, just leave a comment, and yeah, who knows, maybe I'll use it in the next teching video. If you haven't subscribed already, I really hope you do. If you like the video, just well, that's how it's called, leave a like. Really appreciate it, and hope to see you guys in the next one. Cheers.